Hello, friends. I am hopping on to do a bit of a Venus retrograde check-in here because we are nearing the middle of the retrograde, and this is an important time as there's one aspect that is coming up a lot during this Venus retrograde, and that is an aspect of shakeups, breakdowns, breakthroughs, and sudden change. That is called Venus square Uranus. So this Wednesday coming up on August 9th, we will be experiencing the center of that aspect. So Venus squared Uranus on July 2nd first happened, and it went back in its retrograde to square Uranus, which is coming up on August 9th. And then the final square to Uranus will be on September 29th. So there's three parts of the same story here for you. And I really want to talk to you today about what this is about as it's coming up right now. For the most part, when we talk about Venus, we talk about two things. We talk about love, things we value, and we talk about also our relationship to money and our value as well. So love, romance kind of Venus, and then our value and financial value. Okay, those are the two areas of your life that are going through the biggest evolution right now. When Venus is retrograde, though, she's reflecting on the past. How many people here listening right now have been having dreams that go back to certain times in your life, that bring you back to the past? And I want to talk about the moments in the past that this retrograde is particularly speaking to. Okay? Are you with me, everybody? So I'm going to first turn back the clock all the way to 1999. Can you remember what you were doing in 1999? Maybe you were just being born. Maybe you were in your 20s. What was going on with you in 1999? That is the first time you're going to think about right now, because there's something of that time that is resonant now. All right, the second time I want you to think about is 2007. Both of these times, Venus was retrograde in Leo in the same exact place she's retrograde right now in Leo. Okay, and so that means that there is something woven through 1999, 2007, and finally 2015 that relates to this time now in 2023, because every 8 years, Venus goes on the same retrograde pattern. All right. So right now she's harking back to those same time periods through the sign of Leo. All right. Think about your life woven through and how much you've changed from 1999, 2007, 2015, and 2023. All right, so right now, as we head into the eye of the needle of the retrograde, which is the Venus square Uranus coming up on August 9th, not the Lion's Gate, but it is Venus square Uranus, and we can talk about that later if you want. Ultimately, the square to Uranus signifies that there is somehow rash or sudden action that you might feel compelled or willful to take. That is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a sense of breakthrough, and just to recognize when you're under the influence of a Uranus transit, we can tend to act out quickly, rashly, without thinking about repercussions and stuff like that. However, it might be the right decision for us. It just can happen impulsively. So it's just to be mindful of impulses. And, you know, people are probably thinking, oh no, am I going to have a breakup? Am I going to lose this job or whatever? Well, perhaps, but it doesn't have to be that way. So, yes, I do know a few couples that are already sort of in limbo land in this Venus retrograde. And I know other couples that are really sparking and spicing up their relationship. I know other people that have like cut ties with certain groups or people very suddenly. And, you know, everybody's experiencing this differently. But ultimately, it is a sense of evolution for your Venus. So it is basically an opportunity, an invitation to think more expansively of yourself, of your self-worth, your self-value, and recognize where you were not free. So I have two questions for you right now. And when I say the word free, I want you to think about the full entirety, all the colors, all the radiance of your being. Where is that not being expressed? In your love, in your relationship. How can you express more of your heartfelt compassion, your sexuality, your sensuality, your self-expression? How can you express more of that in your relationship? Where are you not free there? That's my first question. So this is going to shake things up in your relationship, and maybe it already has, when you bring this up to your partner or to anybody you're dating or in any kind of relationship. You're going to say, hey, I need to jostle things up and see where I'm not free. Start to break free there, right? The second question I have for you is, where are you not free financially? And this is where you can look at what you're doing during the day. Are your hours associated with dollars? What does that look like? Do you like what you're doing? Do you love what you're doing? How are you not free there? And how can you shake things up to break yourself free a bit in both areas? That does not mean that you need to end relationships or end jobs, but some people will. Some people might also just have conversations of civil discourse and mindful conversations of how we can improve upon things. And I know I've had many of those with people in my life over the last week, and that's been very fruitful. We've all been kind of like, hey, we can do things better. Let's do them this way. Let's do them that way. And it's been kind of like this electrifying, sparky fire going on there. We get to the height of that on the 9th of August, and then the final spark, September 29th. Okay, people are asking me in the chat a lot about meeting somebody new during a Venus retrograde. Hello, Ali. So meeting somebody new can happen anytime, in a retrograde or not. However, if you meet somebody during a retrograde, the relationship will have the tone of Venus retrograde. In other words, it will be an introspective journey. It will be a journey inwards where Venus is to the eye going backwards in the sky. So there's a part of us that's just more introspective. The relationship will have a tone that is more about learning and introspection versus going to parties and all the externalized things of going out to have fun at all these retreats, events, and festivals, or whatever you all do. It's not that kind of Venus. This is an inward gaze Venus. She's focusing on self-improvement, reflecting back on your past, ultimately loving those parts of yourself from 1999, from 2007, 2015, connecting to each version of yourself as Venus was retrograde in Leo at the same degrees all those times, and giving those parts of yourself love. Okay, that is the work right now, giving so much love to each one of those, because those parts of yourself link back to you right now. All right, think about that for a moment. Now, something really fun to do on the phone is you can literally go back to all those time periods, because you can go back by year. So I did this last night. I looked at my phone. I was like, what was I doing in 2007 and 2015? Actually, I did have a photo from 1999 that I'm going to post in stories here, that I reposted from 2015. So it's going to be a really interesting connection. Now, the second thing I want you to do here is find out where she's retrograding in your astrology chart. So look at the sign of Leo, see where that is in your chart, and where you are taking the clock backwards, where you're doing the retrospective work and cleaning things up. you really might decide when she squares Uranus midweek now and at the end of September that you need to spice up your life a little more, that you need to make life feel more exciting and electrifying again. What makes life feel alive? I mean, everybody these days is so into being good and perfect and productive, all of that. Everybody's drinking their green juice or Pilates or yoga or journaling or morning pages. I just feel like the world right now that we're living in, it's just a Uranian thought I'm having, is really about following the rules and doing things right and perfect in every way. Now, that all said, when Uranus squares Venus, it's actually the opposite of that. It is the art. It's the wrench in things. It's actually the non sequitur, the wrench that's going to kind of turn a 90-degree angle and spice things up. Because perfection of the routine and productivity hacking and all your daily practices, that is not that is not life on a daily basis. Life is full of ups and downs. There is chaos in the universe. There are curveballs. There's all sorts of things that can happen. And that's what this transit is showing you. It's like, no matter how well oiled the system is and how much routine you get things done, you are being challenged right now to shake it up and remember what makes you feel alive. What is this life really about? What are you living for? It is not just about going to your next Pilates class or your meditation or whatever this can be. There's absolutely a need to feel that vital life force. And if you're not feeling it, to break out and remember why you're here. Remember this incredible gift of being human and being alive on this planet and how rare it is. What a strange, weird, and wild thing it is to be in this body, and all of the things we can do. How can you free yourself up more? This is not about perfection. This is about freeing up your soul. So enjoy this Venus retrograde, the Venus square Uranus. Enjoy imperfection. Enjoy breaking out and remembering what this is all about anyway. All right, I want to invite you all to have some fun this Venus retrograde, to explore new, windy, wild pathways. Remember who you were in all those times, and also look at the date of August 13th. August 13th is a very important date because that is when Venus will conjunct the sun. She is in the light, the heart of the sun. She is on fire. And that is a day when the sun, your ego consciousness, meets Venus. That is a day of revelations, awakening to your own Venus retrograde message. What is your Venus retrograde message about? If you don't know now, you might just ask the question before you go to sleep, because I guarantee you, your dreams are going to be much more potent during a Venus retrograde. Also, August 13th, whatever this lesson is about for you, it's coming up to the surface of the water. And you get that aha moment when Venus meets the sun in your consciousness. So just notice what's happening also around August 13th. Notice your dreams. Notice who's in your dreams. There's often a sense of repaying somebody back, somebody paying you back in some way, having closure. There might be a relationship situation that you're in right now that harks back to one of those times. So let's say you're like getting triggered with some kind of local story happening, and you're like, why am I so triggered with this? It could be that it is an echo of the 2007 or the 2015 or the 1999 retrograde. And it's an opportunity, an invitation to clear the way there, to clear the way in love, to clear the way in your self-worth, your self-value, the way forward. And again, this is about Leo. It is about your radiance, your luminosity. Shine bright. Okay. I will check in with you again when Venus is in her final crossover to the square to Uranus, which is going to be late September. But meanwhile, Venus retrograde is not anything to fear. It is a natural point of progression. It happens for about 40 days. And she retrogrades in this beautiful 5-pointed star in the sky. There's such symmetry and beauty. And I think on a more philosophical level, the Venus retrograde points to the fact that life is not about simply external beauty and this beauty pageant. Life is as much about the interior gaze. And that's what Venus retrograde is ultimately telling us, is to look inside. All right? So that's my message for today. As we are approaching the Venus square Uranus, I will see you again soon. And one more thing, if you haven't yet learned about it, there is an amazing tarot class coming up by my dear friend and colleague, Bess Matassa, which you will see on our link in bio. Check it out. I highly, highly recommend Bess. She just did this incredible free webinar last night, and so many of you were there. It was amazing. Check out her course. Also, we have a Scotland retreat coming up mid-September. We'll be on the coastline in a beautiful castle. I hope to see you all somewhere in the future. All right. Mwah. Bye.